What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Weekend Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your alt football media guru. I'm actually joking about that, but some people take that a little too seriously. What is going on this week's show? Roster moves and trades, plus Mike Mitchell's power ranking, and Will Lopes is the chief executive officer of Catapult. He talks about the XFL partnership and so much more. So here's the deal, my friends. If you like football, then like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 60 likes. Hit that notification bell, get alerted when we go live or when we post new content. But let's try to get this video up to 60 likes. So we got roster moves, trades, power rankings, interview with the CEO of Catapult. They just had an announcement this week. Plus, my wife and I were at the DC Defenders event. Yes, so we get a chance to, you'll see sights and sounds from that. Sights and sounds from around the league, huge, over 1,100 people I hear turned out for the Battlehawks, so it continues. Call is the law, and St. Louis is the town right now when it comes to the XFL. So we have all of that stuff and so much more. So if you want to be part of the show, actually I got a new little get up over here. If you want to be part of the show, simple, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. 888-430-7692 extension 3 is a way to get on the program. Also, we love reviews. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher, Spotify, etc., etc. Leave a podcast. We do have a podcast review to go over right this second. So we've got 2 stars from Ryan Davish. He says, quote, half the pod is poorly mixed sound bites and royalty-free elevator music. And then the host likes to read news articles word for word. Waste of my time. Well, Ryan, you're right. This is amateur. This is an amateur podcast. I am not professional, nor do I have, for example, professional staff, nor do I have any money. Because let me tell you something, Ryan, and I appreciate any feedback, but I want to get something clear here. So I don't do this full time. This is not my full-time job. Not only that, I have 6 kids. 2 are in college, 1 graduated, 2 are seniors in high school, and 1 is a freshman in high school. 6 kids, bro. I have a full-time job. I am a software engineer by day. I do this on the side at night because it's fun. And I like alt football. I've been covering the league. We have been covering the league since 2018. Also, it's amateurish because I am an amateur. So there's that as well. I also, just for the record, have not made any money off of this for several years now. As a matter of fact, I used to sell my cryptocurrency to keep things afloat during the whole what happened, so that I wanted to make sure I kept my guys around so I could get them paid so that they wouldn't go away. So right now, we're on the cusp, and we'll get to this in a second, 25 days from XFL kickoff. Is this podcast going to be as amateurish and 2 stars and poorly mixed and elevator music? Well, right now it is. But 5 years from now? Remember, we also have, not only do 6 kids, and by the way, I choose to do this. And it's funny because as we get close to the season, there's like more hate. I've seen stuff written about Mike Mitchell. I've seen stuff written about other writers on our that people, making fun of XFL. Like, it's all coming out of the woodwork now because we're getting close to the season, and people are coming. They don't know who I am, and they're searching up content, and they're trying to find what's a good podcast, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to point out that I don't have any money for fancy music, and I read the news. I have glasses, which are, within the last year I've started wearing glasses, so I do that better. I just want to be able to provide content. Now, is that stuff going to be better in the future? 100%. When I have money to actually pay people to help do these things, like produce the show, edit content, we could produce stuff before the show, all this stuff. So yeah, it is amateur. But, I just want to, for those who are new that are expecting something else, uh, it is amateurish. They're giving me 2 stars. Been around since 2018 when everybody else quit or everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. We were still here doing this podcast weekly, waiting for the show to come out. So it was just something. But at the end of the day, my anchor that I all care about, I'm a Christian dude. Honestly, this is all that matters to me. People's comments and whatever, I just kind of chuckle. But, yeah, I know this is amateurish because I am an amateur. So I did go to college for it, but I realized there was no money in communication. So my senior year, my last semester, I saw all these people making money on the internet, and I said, I'd rather do that instead than be some, intern making no money, working my way up the corporate ladder. So I taught myself programming. Oh, and by the way, while I have 6 kids working full time, and a wife who's awesome, and doing all this stuff, there's also XFL News Hub, USFL News Hub, CFL News Hub, and Pro Wrestling News Hub. Those are the 4 main food groups. On top of that, also, in my spare time, which is none, News Hub Fantasy. That's right. You can play fantasy football right now. We have over a couple thousand people. I think there's over 500 leagues playing right now, and we haven't even started the season yet. I mean, we're still 25 days out. So we also have that too. So we are amateurs, but the goal is we've been waiting around for years for the XFL to return. We're 25 days away. So what this looks like now and sounds like now is going to be a lot different than in the future. So I just wanted to kind of put that out. But I appreciate the feedback. It is true. I need to do a better job at reading stuff. I screw up names. I get it. But yes, it is amateur because I'm not a professional yet. But the plan is in the future to really rank it. I mean, do you see the background behind me? I mean, it's just a bunch of stuff I threw up there. But anyways, I digress. You can watch this amateur show, XFL Week in Review, live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, the Super Amateur Hour. But here's the real deal, because we haven't even touched the surface yet of what's going on. The XFL, my friends, are 25 days from the XFL kickoff. February 18th, 2023, XFL season begins. We are 25 days, my friends. 25 days. And I give shout out to the OGs that have been from the beginning. A lot of the writers from XFL News Hub have been covering, everything from, we were together when the XFL went under, like in 2020. And now we're back. We've got about half of those guys back. Excited to have new blood, young blood. The thing is with XFL News Hub, CFL, USFL, is giving young writers, up-and-coming guys who want to get involved with the sports business an opportunity. Just like the XFL gives players an opportunity to make the NFL, XFL News Hub exists to give other writers a chance to make their way into, maybe a professional gig. We've got one guy that went on to work for Jay Noakes, who works for the XFL now. We've had other guys. I've written, recommendations for people. I've taken phone calls and given my guys recommendations as they, graduate college and head on to the professional world. That's what we provide here. So yes, we are amateurish, but I think I kind of like it that way. I don't want to be stuffy like maybe you're a Skip Bayless fan or, some of these ESPN shows, which are, we're always going to, this is kind of our style. I like it like this. But I appreciate you taking the time and actually leaving a vote. So if you want to counterbalance and do your boy Mark a favor, head over and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read it on the show. We will read it. It's okay. I'm not afraid. So what we have here, today's show, we have the DC Defenders event that my wife and I went, had a great time, met Doug Williams, quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Washington football team / Redskins / Commanders, met Reggie Barlow, met some of the players there, met the staff and the DC Defenders. Huge turnout from what I hear from St. Louis, over 1,100. I mean, they are the top dogs right now. Plus, we got Mike Mitchell stuff and a really interesting interview with Will Lopes. He's the chief executive officer of Catapult Sports. You saw about their, he explains the whole thing about their vests, their technology, where he came from, and kind of what his thoughts are on where the XFL is headed. You're not going to want to miss that as well. Plus, we got our friends in the chat always hanging out with us. Hey, no Monday Night Football, so you can hang out with me. That's pretty cool, too. So we're going to go to the DC Defenders event, sights and sounds for the camp. We'll get into the news that I'll read very badly, and then we'll get into the rosters, and then we'll get into our interview with Will Lopes, Chief Executive Officer of Catapult. And then we'll get to your social media stuff. All right, my friends? So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. What is up, my friends? Mark Perry, XFL News Hub, your editor, your alt football media guru. I just want to let you know that we are gearing up to head down to DC for their fan event. Super excited to meet some more fans, and we'll kind of give you a behind the scenes action. And just me and my wife this time, not taking the kids. Just figured, we'll go out there, check it out, meet some DC Defenders fans, and check out the crowd, maybe win a prize or two, and have a good time. So stay tuned. All right, we're here at the National Harbor, heading over to the pub bar for the thing. I'm here with my lovely wife, who, ironically, more people are excited to meet her than me. So I don't know what's up with that. So yeah, it's a little chilly out, but we're heading over. The National Harbor is a beautiful area. Parking was easy, so now we're gonna head over to the event. So are you excited about the new DC Defenders team, coming back, XFL 3.0? I mean, you seem a little pissed off because the jerseys aren't on sale yet. Is that the problem? I mean, you got a bag full of stuff, you know what I mean? But I don't see any DC Defender. You're not wearing a DC Defenders jersey, so I think she's a little pissed that the jerseys aren't on sale yet. Guys, I need to break this up, but did you know that the DC Defenders are back? XFL, The Rock owns the XFL, guys. The league is back. We're playing Seattle, February 19th. Watch your hands there, buddy. But guys. So we're down at the Inner Harbor with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn, are you a DC Defenders fan? Is that your favorite team in the league? It's not really. She's speechless. But she is definitely a DC Defenders fan, right, Marilyn?
We know as one football season is ending, there's a special one that'll be starting. And February the 19th is our first home game. It's versus a team out west, all right? And we're looking forward to it. We're extremely happy and excited to see you guys. I really think the DC Defender fans has set the tone for what the atmosphere should be on game day. You guys have set the tone for what that is, and that's what we look forward to seeing.
All right, that's a wrap. Another great event. Lots of fans came out tonight. Lots of excitement about the return of the XFL and season 2. Met a lot of great fans of XFL News Hub. So I appreciate all that. My wife, again, another shirt. Congratulations to her. A lot of good events. Got pictures close up with the jerseys. Did you see the Rocks emblem on the jersey? That's for all jerseys. I thought that was really interesting. And there's probably going to be another event or two. And then we're going to kick off the XFL season. But this was another great event. And just, you know, if you're an XFL fan or maybe you're just kind of interested in the league, come out to one of these events, meet some fans. You get to talk to the coach. You get to talk to players. We had Doug Williams, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Famous, historic Super Bowl winning quarterback, just happened to just show up and took pictures with everybody. He was gracious and great as well. So another great event here in DC at National Harbor, and another t-shirt. So maybe we can go 3 for 3 the next time. All right, it's a good time.
We are DC Defenders. It was a great week getting the players on the field last week. We really worked on them mentally as far as pushing the envelope with their football IQ, trying to put as much as we can on their plate, see what they can handle. Quite frankly, it's a lot of new stuff for a lot of the players. Physically, we tried to push their limits on the field, make them understand what the tempo is, what to expect. And then really the last one is fundamentally getting them out of their bad habits and trying to really get them to form new ones, fill the holes that are missing in their game. We have a great coaching staff. So now we're fast forwarding to this week. And really what we're looking for is, okay, they know the tempo, we've installed and they've got the mental side of it. Okay, now can they go through practices now with pads, and as we get more into it, be able to fundamentally kind of put what they're being taught onto the field. And that's a big hurdle. There's a lot of guys that have done things a certain way for their entire career up to this point. So now as we look into this week, they're hearing what the coaches are saying, they're seeing the drills, and now implementing that on the field in the way they play. So we'll see what happens. Check back with us. Go Battlehawks.
What has hands but can't clap? It's a starfish.
What? You called me.
A penguin. A T-Rex.
Chicken!
Technically, can a praying mantis clap?
A penguin.
A penguin.
A praying mantis can't clap.
I'm gonna say a
They roll that
T-Rex.
shit.
A frog.
They can't. Sea lion.
A turtle.
Walk a flock.
Oh, a clock. A clock. Yeah. A clock.
Oh, T-Rex.
I think I had to be.
Shit, a duck.
Duck, huh? I ain't even.
Oh, a clock. A clock. Yeah, a clock.
They have a great opportunity to play pro ball. They have a great opportunity to show their wares. They have a great opportunity to put a tape together, and 32 other teams in the NFL could see them. It's different than what I thought as being a head coach, because it is more of like a supervisor and you're kind of overlooking everything, but it's fun. You know, when you bring a group together collectively who really don't know each other, maybe some guys have played and been around each other, but you're trying to get them to become a team, a bond in a short period of time. It's been fun to watch how our guys have been really willing to open up their arms and to bring guys in and talk to guys and even though it's a competition and they know that everybody trying to get a spot on the team, they're still willing to share their knowledge with each other, and that's what it's all about.
Here we go, we out, we coming to Fan Fest. Yep.
Nothing could even put into words coming out here and seeing these fans and really seeing like it's gonna be bigger than what I expected. So yeah, I heard that it's only gonna be one level opening. I don't know if that's gonna work for these fans. You might need to go ahead and open the whole dome for these guys.
The atmosphere is unbelievable here. You can feel the passion that the fans have in this city. So it reminds me a lot of college, and Alabama fans are passionate. So I'm just excited to get out on the field and win for the city.
1, 2, 3.
The XFL announced a partnership with Catapult Sports. So this past week, the XFL announced a partnership with Catapult Sports, the global leader in sports technology solutions for professional athletes and teams. The XFL will utilize Catapult's groundbreaking wearable technology equipped with football-specific algorithms to capture player-specific data that measures athletes' load to keep players on the field and performing their best while promoting health and safety throughout the league. Across the league's 8 teams, coaches and staff will rely on Catapult solutions, including Vector, Thunder, and Scout, to make more informed decisions about players than ever before. The new league-wide agreement gives the XFL access to cutting-edge technology to keep players healthy and performing at their best for fans. As the leading athlete monitoring system in sports, the Vector SaaS technology provides teams with powerful athlete performance data, including speed, acceleration, and max velocity, allowing staff to make objective decisions about athletes, maximizing their performance and avoiding dangerous injuries. In addition, coaches will be able to review game film, opponent strategies, and practice footage using Thunder, Catapult's video analysis solution for American football. Scout is the industry's most complete and in-depth library of player and team recruiting content. The full suite of Catapult's American football products combine to create a cohesive platform unique to the XFL, which gives coaches and staff 360 technology for measuring player performance, presenting film, and scouting athletes. Quote, Catapult's cutting-edge technology and football-specific insight will allow our coaches and training staff to monitor player safety more precisely and accurate than ever before, said Russ Brandon, XFL President, I should say. Catapult's data capturing capabilities will drive performance gains for players, reducing chances of injury, and help inform our league's return to play protocols by analyzing baseline player load metrics. The XFL is committed to exploring innovative football technology that can advance the game of football for players, coaches, and fans alike. Through this partnership with Catapult, the XFL will be able to establish baseline metrics for players, which will help determine the safest and most effective way to prevent and rehabilitate injuries. Players will also have complete access to their Catapult data, allowing them to optimize their training based on real-time and post-session insights. Quote, one of the top priorities of our league is player safety, says Doug Whaley, Senior Vice President of Player Personnel of the XFL. By using Catapult's technology, specialized data set, and real-time analysis, the XFL will be more informed about our athletes, allowing us to unleash the full potential of our players and put the best possible football product on the field. Will Lopes, CEO of Catapult, said the XFL is an excellent player-first league, and its leaders understand how athlete data and video analysis are critical to keeping their best athletes healthy for fans. It's exciting to work with such an innovative league. The XFL is establishing a comprehensive player data strategy that advances the game of football, powers athletes with access to their performance data, and allows fans to become fully immersed in on-field action. That's a little bit interesting. The XFL will continue to invest in the latest technologies to further the game of football and enhance fan and player experience. Another one in the long line list of technologies the XFL is trying to use, test, see how it goes to further enhance not only the football but the players in their league. I'm sure there's more partners on the horizon. All right, international fans, have no fear. Sports One has acquired exclusive platform-neutral rights, whatever that means, to the XFL for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland from ESPN for the next 2 years. So what's up, Germany? What's up, Austria? What's up, Switzerland? Welcome to the XFL. The XFL Football League will restart, of course, February 18th, 1 week after the Super Bowl. The rights package includes a total of 43 games. On each of the 10 game days, 2 games each are scheduled for Saturdays and Sundays after the regular season is followed by the XFL playoffs on April 29th and 30th and the XFL Championship on May 13th. Sports One will show the opening season live and in highlights on every game day and free TV and extensively on Sports One Plus, as well as online on the Sports One apps and via its social media channels. A minimum of up to 10 games per schedule are scheduled to air on free TV channel Sport One. This is big, getting that national, that worldwide audience. The XFL will be broadcast in the U.S. on ABC, ESPN, and FX as part of their partnership with the Walt Disney Company, and ESPN is also attracting special attention internationally through its prominent ownership group, which includes Hollywood star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Olaf Schroeder, CEO of Sports One Media AG and chairman of the management board of Sports One, commented, quote, "We are delighted to present the eagerly awaited premiere season to the many football fans in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland as an exclusive media partner of the XFL. Enthusiasm for American football has grown enormously in Germany-speaking countries in recent years, with the first NFL game in Munich as a temporary high point of euphoria surrounding what is now one of the most watched TV sports in this country. Football, American football, one of the most watched TV sports in that country. XFL is going global, and so is the NFL. With the XFL, we're offering an even greater variety of sports on our platform, strengthening our U.S. sports programming, which already includes Major League Baseball Snooze Fest, live broadcast here, and underscoring our ambition to go on the offensive as a first mover, especially in such new and innovative topics. They go on to talk about the great demand for American football in German markets continues unabated due to the NFL. We want to supply the football interest public with exclusive football content on our sports platform after the NFL season ends. We will put the XFL in the spotlight through live games, highlights, and stories around the league, deliberately appealing to younger fans that crave this content. We'd like to thank the XFL for their trust in us and as their exclusive media partner for the German-speaking region. That's from Anika Roddy, Director of Media Rights for Sports One. Jay Rothman, we haven't heard from him in a little while. He's the Executive Senior Vice President of Broadcast Operations, says, quote, "We are working for months to develop a live event broadcast that allows our fans to immerse themselves in the action, and on-screen talent is absolutely critical to bring the energy and excitement from the field through the screens to our fans. We're thrilled with the team and behind-the-scenes crew that has been assembled, and we're looking forward to kick off in less than a month." Goes on to talk about the teams. The XFL ownership group promises football-loving audience a fan-focused, global professional football league with innovative rules and an enhanced 360 game experience. We'll find out what all that means, I would assume, in the next couple of weeks. The XFL relaunches with the ambition of bringing entertainment, world-class American football together with the goal of advancing the sport globally and also expanding the enhanced career opportunities for professional football players with its launch and maybe putting a team in Europe. Don't get mad at me. This is Mike Mitchell's XFL 2023 preseason power ranking. The league's teams rank from the worst to the first. Mike Mitchell put this together. Remember, this is preseason. We don't know much about nothing. If you're going to get mad at anybody, I am just the bearer of the news. Our XFL insider, the GOAT, Mike Mitchell, is breaking it down for you. So a little over 4 weeks from the XFL season, which will begin Saturday, February 18th on ABC. The Rod Woodson-led Las Vegas Vipers will clash with Bob Stoops' Renegades in Arlington to kick things off of the reemerged XFL. Season tickets are on sale now. Starting from ground zero, although the XFL is technically resurfaced after a 3-year hiatus with some returning cities, team names, players, and coaches, the reality is that the entire league is starting from scratch. The league's centralized training camp is in Texas, is in full swing, as all 8 XFL teams undergo a steep learning curve in preparation for a 10-week regular season. The ancient saying that practice makes perfect doesn't apply in this situation because immediate perfection is not a realistic goal. Establishing a team's identity, building continuity will be a work in progress, particularly in the earliest part of the XFL season. So it seems highly premature and foolhardily to proceed with a preliminary power ranking list for 8 teams who have never played a game. It begs the question, how does one rank? What are essentially 8 branded new pro football expansion teams? Not only are these teams getting to know each other for the first time, but the same can be stated for anyone who is following the process. After careful analyzing every team's coaching staff, front office, and player roster, then based on a criteria for which those combined factors, here is Mike Mitchell's preseason power rankings for the 8 XFL teams from 8 to 1. This will likely age poorly over time, so here it goes. At number 8, the Orlando Guardians. The law of averages suggests that someone has to, for lack of a better term, will suck in the XFL 2023 based on their roster composition. To Mike Mitchell, the Orlando Guardians have appearance of a team headed for a 2-8 type 2023 campaign. Terrell Buckley's Guardians squad can make this ranking look foolish when the smoke clears in May. As the legendary Chris Berman said, that's why we play these games. But for now, on paper, Orlando appears to be the weakest XFL team. But chief among them is the uncertainty surrounding the Guardians' coaching staff and quarterback position. Consists of DeAndre Francois, Mitch Kidd, who I think recently got cut, and Quentin Dormandy, three talented, unproven proven signal callers with a limited body of work playing pro football. You can get all this detail when that, but he's got them at number 8. He goes into detail. Number 7, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Caw is not the law, apparently. The truth of the matter is the XFL teams ranked from 7th to 3 on this list are very comparable. The Battlehawks have a lot of things going in their favor. The QB room is sound. A.J. McCarron provides valuable leadership and experience, and very quietly, Ryan Willis has been one of the better quarterbacks in spring pro football in the last couple of years. However, like the Guardians, St. Louis inexperience from first-timers and head coach Anthony Beck to coordinators Bruce Gradkowski and Donnie Abraham on defense work against them. Until this group proves itself in its first go-around on the pro level, it's challenging to stack the Battlehawks in a higher position than other more established and experienced coaching staffs in the league. Admittedly, the early signs are incredibly favorable for Anthony Beck, who has been displaying outstanding leadership since he was hired as St. Louis football coach. Number 6, he's got the Vegas Vipers. There's a lot he likes about the Vegas Vipers. They have a strong QB room with Luis Perez and probably the best player football casuals have never heard of in Brian Scott. The latter has MVP potential. On the surface, despite having never been a head coach on any level, Rod Woodson has all the makings of a great leader, but like most aspects of XFL 2023, the Hall of Fame great is an unknown entity when it comes to a head coach. One thing is for sure, the Vipers' coaching of defensive backs could be the best in the league, with Chris Dishman coming off a great run in the USFL as the New Jersey Generals DC and Darren Perry, no relation, coaching up the secondary. The trio of Woodson, Dishman, and Perry should be highly beneficial to the Vipers' young defensive backs. Number 5, Houston Roughnecks. It's challenging not to rank the Houston higher because of their head coach, Wade Phillips, based on his impressive resume, particularly on defense and the staff he put together on the side of the ball with vets like Brian Stewart. You can pretty much guarantee the Roughnecks defense is going to be good based on their team's expertise in this area. The real question will be the level of play Houston gets on offense with innovative young play caller like A.J. Smith. The Roughnecks took a bit of a hit when assigned quarterback Ben Kurt bowed out of playing in the league because of the desire not to move his family to Texas. Former 7th-round NFL pick Cole McDonald and promising rookie Caleb Ellerby will determine how far Houston goes in 2023. The XFL South, comprised of 3 strong Texas-based teams, will be very tough, and the quality of QB play will decide who emerges from that division by season's end. Now we're through the halfway point. Number 4, Seattle Sea Dragons. From top to bottom, from the front office to coaching staff to players, the Dragons are lined up nicely for success in 2023. Few XFL teams have the built-in advantage that Seattle does with DPP Randy Mueller, head coach Jim Haslett, offensive coordinator June Jones. For you fantasy nerds out there, I am telling you the first week, hang with the Seattle Sea Dragons because they got June Jones, and we saw what he did with the Houston Roughnecks. Just that's Mark's take. All 3 have great success in alternative pro football leagues and working together in the past. Mueller and Jones built a powerhouse 3 years ago in XFL Houston. Haslett and Mueller both won prestigious awards as NFL head coach and executive of the year. The shared experiences and successes are invaluable tools. The focus on Seattle's offense will be on Ben DiNucci and Josh Gordon, 2 of recent NFL players, but the defensive coordinator Ron Zook, another Haslett ally, could be making the difference as how far the Dragons soar in 2023. Number 3, the San Antonio Brahmas. Yeah, there's a lot to love about the Brahmas, from the team's great and bold look to the great city they are playing in, to Hines Ward as their leader. The horns are definitely pointing forward for San Antonio. Experienced personnel man Will Lewis has done a great job putting together the Brahmas roster. One of the best aspects of the team is its deep QB room, with NFL players like Reed Sinnett and Jack Cohn Either player could end up being the best QB in the XFL. Listen to that, fantasy nerds. Reed Sinnott, Jack Cohen. Either player could end up being the best QB in the XFL. Jamie Elizondo and Jim Herman are experienced coordinators who've had a great success in this space. Both coaches have reunited with several players. They have coached in other pro leagues, giving them an advantage over XFL teams going through the learning curve, working together for the first time. Number 2, America's team, the DC Defenders. Synergy is a significant theme on the ranking list, and Reggie Barlow has that in place with Defenders offensive coordinator Fred Cass. The two have paired together in college ranks with outstanding success, especially in running the football. Cass' offense have routinely averaged over 200 yards per game on the ground, and in the process produced NFL players. This is something to keep in mind, you fantasy nerds, that DC's running back could be the key as a guy that you put on. So you get the quarterback from Seattle, and then you get the running back from DC. Just something to think about when you're playing fantasy football over at newshubfantasy.com. And few XFL teams have the perfect marriage of player talent and scheme that DC has going for them. That's a testament to DPP Vaughn Hutchins and the work of the entire Defender staff. For starters, the Defenders have a solid three-headed quarterback room with USFL 2022 leading passer Jordan Tamu, Derek King, and Eric Dungy. All three players are perfect scheme fits and a spread-out run-pass option attack. It's easy to see a scenario where all three quarterbacks get on the field and play. King and Dungy will be challenging to keep off the field. The mobile duo can be a poor man's Kyler Murray / Taysom Hill type combo based on their unique skill sets. DC also has one of the deepest backfields in the league, with the nation's 5th leading rusher, Baylor's Abram Smith, Raquel Armstead, Puka Williams, and Artavis Pierce. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Plus, remember, they have Greg Williams as their defensive coordinator. And I agree with Mike Mitchell on these two, because the last one is the Arlington Renegades. Chemistry, pass connections are essential in new pro football leagues. When it comes to spring pro football, there may not be a better coaching team up than what we have seen with the 2023 Renegade staff headed by Bob Stoops. It's no secret that things didn't quite work out for Stoops and his 2-3 Renegades team in 2020, and his pairing with legendary offensive coordinator Hal Mumme. Remember Hal Mumme broke his leg on the sideline? But the revamped Stoops staff in Arlington seems to be a perfect marriage. Firstly, Stoops is reunited with his Iowa and OU colleague Jonathan Hayes. The former Battlehawks head coach brings along with him Chuck Long. The two former St. Louis coaches will team up as co-offensive coordinators. Plus, on the other side of the ball, Tim Lewis and Jay Hayes reunite from their St. Louis days as co-defensive coordinators in Arlington. Tim Lewis is one of the best secondary coaches on the planet, as evidenced by the fact that the Carolina Panthers drafted Battlehawk safety Kenny Robinson in 2020. Lewis, who once upon a time a great DB himself, has a proven track record coaching in multiple pro leagues. They got Scott Spurrier, all sorts of stuff. So there you go with the Arlington Renegades. Plus, they have veteran players like Will Hill, Raheem Moore, Devontae Busby. But the two players Mueller acquired and paired up that could be the most impact are QB Kyle Slaughter and Sal Cannella. They were huge in the USFL, great chemistry, and they have a good, great chemistry in the USFL, basically. Plus, they got specialists in punter Marquette King and kicker Taylor Russolino. So he has got them at number 1. So to recap, Mike Mitchell's way too early preseason XFL power rankings. Number 8, Orlando Guardians. You can't say because it's in Orlando, not New York. St. Louis Battlehawks could call. It's apparently not the law for Mike Mitchell. You can get him mad at him for that. Number 6, Las Vegas Vipers. Number 5, Houston Roughnecks. Number 4, Seattle Sea Dragons. Number 3, San Antonio Brahmas. This one I think is a little high. I might have dropped them down a little bit. I'm not sure about the Brahmas. DC Defenders at number 2. I'm with you there. And, of course, number 1, Arlington Renegades. So, do you think Mike Mitchell has it right? Do he has it wrong? Let us know in the comments. What is your way too early XFL 2023 preseason power ranking? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's hit the transaction wire for lots of signings, and the XFL had some cuts this week. We'll go through them real quick. DC Defenders signed veteran kicker Matthew McCrane to the roster. They added the former NFL and XFL kicker to. In recent days, DC has also added former New Jersey Generals and West Virginia offensive lineman Mike Brown, who worked out for the XFL at the Hawaii Play Showcase this season. But the Defenders placed safer bet on place kicker Matthew McCrane. However, Nick Novak, former NFL kicker and current coach trainer at Novak Kicking Consulting, which helped conduct a specialist-specific showcase for the XFL in October, announced McCrane's signing on social media. So he is now the kicker of the DC Defenders. Battlehawks safety Nate Meters returns to squad after a stint with the Tennessee Titans. Battlehawks had one of their supplemental draft picks. Nate Meters, an undrafted free agent out of UCLA, is returning to the St. Louis Battlehawks after spending the final week of the season with the Tennessee Titans. Meters confirms this on his Instagram. Shout out to @XFL Analyst, who is crushing it with all the player signings and comings and goings. You want to definitely follow his Twitter account. Seattle Sea Dragons add West Georgia quarterback Harrison Frost to their roster. Frost started in his collegiate career at Mercer University, where he redshirted the 2017 season. He'd go on to appear in 27 games over the next 3 seasons for the Bears, completing 87 for 169 passes for a 40% completion rate, 1,047 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Transferred to University of West Georgia for his final 2 seasons of eligibility, appearing in 22 games in 2021 and 2022. And that time, 448 for 888 passes, 62% completion rate, 6,730 yards, 50 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. Over the courses, he earned second-team All-Gulf South Conference selection, second-team All-Super Region 2, and was a 2-time Harlan Hill Trophy finalist in 2021 and 2022. Also, Houston Roughnecks announced some cuts there. The following players are no longer listed as part of the Houston Roughnecks team: tight end Kyle Fortenberry, linebacker Kobe Quanish, safety Quan Kincaid, DB Devin Hafford, wide receiver Brandon Lewis and Antonio Nunn, defensive end Ulrich Jones, linebacker Tevin Floyd, and cornerback Kenneth George. The most surprising cut was DB Devin Hafford of Tarleton State, who had previously spent time with the Patriots and Pittsburgh Maulers. He was selected after the initial draft back in November and will likely land another XFL camp within the coming days. Another notable loss would be Brandon Lewis from Air Force, who flashed great potential during his final year in college. The 4 new additions to the team include offensive lineman Sage Doxtater, offensive lineman James Monroe, linebacker Nate Whelan, and Nick Holly. Doxtater, a Canadian native, he will be the second Canadian in the league, played college football at New Mexico State, was selected by the Toronto Argonauts in the 2021 CFL draft, but did not sign. He later joined the New Orleans Saints as an undrafted free agent, 2022. Moore played college football Division II Central Washington, where he was primarily used as left tackle, later signed with the BC Lions, the CFL. Weiland played at Grandview University in Iowa, landed at New England Patriots the past offseason, will be reunited with former Grandview teammate David Talentino. Now, Nick Holly is perhaps the most exciting addition of them all, thanks to his history. The former hybrid QB running back at Kent State recorded 21 catches, 267 yards, and 2 touchdowns as part of the original Houston Roughnecks team in 2020. Quickly became a fan favorite and would later have a stint with the Stampeders in the CFL in 2021. So definitely cool to see an OG XFL guy in Holly returning to the XFL. Some Renegades made some cuts. We got list cut from the Renegades team: Robert Nelson, defensive back; Jesse Lumineer, linebacker; TJ Green, DB; Delonte Hood, defensive back; Quentin Vinzant, wide receiver; George Moore, offensive lineman; Dominic Wood Anderson, tight end; Mike Van Holven, center; and Caleb Pajan, defensive lineman. Those who they broke down there. Other notable names from the team, let's see here. No word on who they added, but those are some of the guys that cut from Arlington Renegades. DC Defenders had 5 new players and released 6. Let's see here. Mike Mitchell has it. So they promoted Farrard Gardner from the reserve active roster, signed kicker Catherine McCrane. Then they assign offensive line Kyle Murphy to the active roster, guard Rod Smith to the active roster, and waived C.J. Anthony, Jalen Fly Sadler, Lawrence Keys, Bernard McCall, punter Jacob Schrum, and running back Shane Simpson, counting former New Jersey General West Virginia offensive lineman Mike Brown, who joined the team before the Defenders' recent wave of transaction. DC has added 5 new players, including signing McCrane, and we just kind of went over them, officially joined the team, and those who were let go. That Mike Mitchell's got a full recap on that. About the Vipers, the Vipers went out and signed Brian Burt, a running back wide receiver, after having interest in him before the draft. They decided to sign the college wide receiver turned XFL running back. The former Las Vegas Raider now joins John Lovett, DeAndre Torrey, and Rod Smith. Could be a dangerous backfield. Matt Jones, who they picked in the 5th round, is a first All-Pro running back for the XFL back in 2020. He was released Saturday after posting a story on Instagram saying, "I gave the game my all, no question, no doubting." That was kind of a big surprise. The same day, they released wide receiver Isaiah Macklin from Las Vegas, who they drafted in the 7th round. The very next day, they also released tight end Jordan Wilson and offensive lineman Ben Petrula. Trula, a former Cleveland Brown, was selected by the Vipers in the 2nd round with the 13th pick and was a surprise release considering that he was expected to start on the team. 2 players that were added to the reserve list, starting with Terry Porter on Friday, pulled hamstring practice. Let's see, Rod Henderson was also added to the list, suffering an injury in practice. Kevin McGill, cornerback, a former Los Angeles Charger, was recently signed 2 weeks ago and was put on the regular reserve list this week. No info about him. So that's kind of what's going on with the Vegas Vipers. We continue. Battlehawks released 6 players, trimming their roster. Let's see here. 6. They released Darius Bradwell, running back, wide receiver Bryce Nulney, offensive lineman Tice Gray, and DB Tarek Lewis. On the offense, the Battlehawks released Bradwell. Okay, he's got all this. Bradwell was the 82nd overall pick in the XFL supplemental draft, however, failed to beat out AA selectee Kareem Walker, along with the Battlehawks' other running backs of Lydia Brown, Abdul Adams, Brian Hill, Mateo Durant. The Battlehawks also released Tyson Gray, an offensive lineman who, despite John Toth not showing up to camp, couldn't beat out the late addition Mike Panuski and AA selectee Jovan Wolford. Gray came out to the Battlehawks with limited experience. It seems to be the odd man out. The Battlehawks also cut AA selectee Bryce Nunny, who spent 2022 in rookie camp with the Kansas City Chiefs. On the defensive side of the ball, the Battlehawks cut a trio of DBs, Jake Lewis, Jacoby Papelin, and Brendan White. Papelin and White were AA selectees, while Lewis was selected with the 48th overall pick in the defensive back draft and the November 22 draft. Despite being cut, Brendan White now joins my Massachusetts Pirates on the IFL, per the IFL transaction wire. So that's good. Remember, the XFL has this relationship. Get cut, play in the IFL, see how you do. Maybe you can make your way back to the XFL or even the USFL for that matter. That's what's going on with them. And finally, we got a trade. San Antonio Brahmas trade DB Carey Vincent Jr. to Houston Roughnecks. We'll get to that in a second. So with the XFL less than a month away from kickoff, each team spent a few weeks figuring out. So the San Antonio Brahmas made a decision on one of their more intriguing players on Monday. San Antonio has traded cornerback Carey Vincent Jr. to the Houston Roughnecks, sources tell XFL News Hub. The Brahmas are receiving wide receiver Darius Robertson Jr. in return. Brahma's decision to trade Vincent may come a bit of a surprise. Vincent looked like Brahma's top corner heading into camp, but will instead take his talents across the state to Texas. The 23-year-old corner played his college ball at LSU as part of a standout LSU defense that went on to win the 2019 national championship. Vince opted out of the 2020 season to prepare for the 2021 NFL draft. So there you have a trade in the XFL. All right, we'll take a commercial break, and then we'll get to our interview with the CEO of Catapult right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. All right, we're here with Will Lopes. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Catapult. Will, I appreciate you coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad and excited to be here.
Yeah, so tell me, what is your background and how did you get involved with Catapult before we get into all the nuts and bolts with what you guys do in the XFL?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent about 20 years before joining Catapult working for a company called Audible that makes digital audiobooks. We spend after selling that company to Amazon, I spent about 10 years working inside Amazon within Audible and also within other parts of Amazon, including Kindle and Prime and a few other, including the famous Amazon Fire Phone, which is no longer.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think I actually got connected through a former colleague of Amazon to connect with Catapult. And I just became fascinated with what they were doing here. They had pioneered, the wearable industry in sports. They had pioneered the video analysis environment in sports. And they were supporting just fantastic companies and teams across the world. And what really, quite honestly, Mark, what attracted me most to the company and to the industry was that what we were trying to do inside Catapult is figure out how to measure human performance. And as you could imagine, that is no easy task. And so, it's been a fantastic evolution. I joined just 3 months before pandemic started. And so it's been a long ride but an exciting one nonetheless.
So what is Catapult Sports for the regular fan out there?
Yeah, so we are the leading sports analytics platform particularly in the elite sports world. You can think of us as having two core products. We have a video analysis products that helps coaching make better real-time decisions. And so what they do is they will review game opponents as well as their own in training and make modifications to their tactics as they watch. They'll use that program as well to look at, scouting opportunities, talent identification. And then the second and the core and sort of, the heart of our solution here is an athlete monitoring system. And think of that as a wearable device that athletes will typically have on their torso. You might have seen an athlete sometimes take their jersey off and they have sort of a compression garment on. Mm-hmm. They have a device in the back, and that's our device. And what that device is doing is trying to capture data and basically give objective data points to the training staff to understand, the exertion levels of the athlete. And so they'll combine tactics as well as, human performance metrics to understand, am I working my athletes too much? Are they at peak performance? Am I making calls on the field that maybe I shouldn't because the athlete is a bit too tired? So the combination of those two is really what Catapult is. And I think, as I mentioned, we support over 40 sports across the world. Every NFL team is a client of ours. Everybody in the Power Five, the NCAA as in American football here, as well as NHL, ice hockey, NHL, NBA, big European leagues in soccer, Bundesliga, Premier League, and the like.
So is this something that they wear during practice, or is it just kind of like, hey, we're going to do a training session? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the wearables typically get worn in practice. Some leagues will allow for teams to use them in game as well. So they're
Oh,
in practice, what they're trying to do is understand, how do I keep that athlete by not overworking them, but also making sure that I'm not underworking them, right? So how do I keep them at peak performance? And it will change throughout the season, right? So preseason, you want to see that athlete kind of come up to a new level of exertion and kind of maintain that rate. And then through the season, you're kind of training depending on, what yesterday you did, how hard the game was, and so on. So they'll wear them in training as well as in game.
so is it what exactly is it tracking this vest? We've seen the XFL partner with breakaway data, and it's more of like, this is how fast they did the cone drill, that kind of thing. But what kind of data is this tracking?
Yeah, so basically it's tracking, all of the things that you think breakaway data is capturing. Typically, they're using our data to kind of do some analysis on top of that. But it's capturing, obviously movements and position in the field. It's capturing inertial sensors, so so that you understand change of direction, the speed and delta of change in direction is really important depending on the position. You're also capturing motion and impact data. So how hard is somebody, entering into a line, for example, would be a important component, and it's also capturing Z axis, right? So we capture about I think a little over a little under 1,000 data points from a single athlete, and we do about 100 hertz, so about 100 data points per second. And what is coming back is then being put into a computer, or in some cases in the cloud, and then it's actually using algorithms to calculate core metrics, right? So exertion being probably the most important in sports. So if I know, for example, what it takes for an athlete to move to do 100-yard dash, and we're trying to understand what the exertion level are between athlete A and athlete B, and also between athlete A against themselves from a previous week or earlier in the season, or how they go throughout the week.
So is this something where like coaches get the analysis at the end and it's like, hey, Fred, you're only going at 50% speed in practice, like what's going on, or like how
That's
is it
exactly
used?
right. It's a great example, right? So typically what a coaching staff will do post practice, they're looking for a couple of things. The first is, how hard did we work in this training session, right? So I want to tell the head coach, hey, actually this drill we did today, actually everybody was at 90% of their peak. So tomorrow we may want to rest them a little bit or do a lighter drill. So that's one component. The second component is, how hard are you working in comparison to how hard you work against the game, right? So you may be doing a certain level of burst runs in a game, but then in the drill or in the training session, you might be doing 40-30% of that burst. And and that may be by choice. I'm trying to rest myself. But more importantly, also may be by injury, right? So you may have a hamstring that's starting to go, and I'm starting to take a step back. And so what we typically help is create sort of what was subjective in the past, right? So in the past, you might say, hey, I think the athlete looks a little slower than usual, or maybe we worked a little hard yesterday, let's rest. Now we're actually giving that objective components to it, right? So we could actually say, no, actually you didn't work them that hard, or you are working them that hard. And it really has revolutionized how coaching staffs train athletes, preseason, in season, and then postseason, right? The story I always tell folks is, when I was in high school and I played football, my coach style was basically, we're going to work you until you're throwing up in the summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're, and that's when we know you're in peak condition, right?
Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. And
yeah,
now I think it's really using this data to understand, how do we improve. Now, what's really cool, Mark, is that once you start to combine that with video, it actually gives it a whole different aspect to the tactics of the game as well, right? And so you could imagine, hey, I'm going to call, a pass as a play, and I'm expecting my wide receiver to grab the ball, and I have an expectation of how fast he's going to run once that ball is snapped and passed out. But now you could actually look at the screen and say, wait, the exertion level of this athlete based on the last 10 plays is very high. And so that may not be the right call for me to make at this point in time based on the exertion level. So as you start to combine those two things together, it actually starts to add a really interesting and new dynamic to the tactics of the game as well.
So do you have cameras as well set up as well as these, is it typically just, I mean, most of the time is something used at practice?
Most of the times it's something used at practice. So you think of like I said, we have, really two core solutions: video analysis and this athlete monitoring. The athlete monitoring, 90% of the times it's used in practice. The video is mainly for games, right? So I'm scouting what I'm going to do against an opponent. I'm then reviewing what I did maybe in my last game. And then in some cases, I'm also reviewing what I'm doing in practice. And I'm trying to understand, what is the exertion that it took an athlete to do X in a game based on the tactics that I'm calling. And then is he following it up in practice, right? Are we actually doing what we need to do for a game? And then in games, I'm actually watching the video live. And in some cases, I have, I'm having the wearable data live as well.
So how did Catapult get involved with the XFL then?
Yeah, so the XFL came to us. We've been sort of the de facto leader in video analysis for football now for probably close to 20 years here in the U.S. As I mentioned, we support the NFL, we support all of the NCAA football programs, and they basically came looking for a video analysis solution. So they signed up with that solution with us fairly early on. Then that moved on to, hey, we actually need a solution for talent identification, right, for scouting purpose. And we have a pretty comprehensive solution there as well that's been, utilized by the NFL to basically look at NCAA athletes coming up. And so, it made great sense for the XFL to not only look at that solution from a, talent identification, but also, do some comparison on what was available, in the market. And then third, the XFL, I think I've been completely impressed at how player first and technology first as a league they're being. And they really wanted to have the best technology out there to understand, how hard the athletes are working. How do you keep them healthy? How do you, really get them a peak position for the games? And they started talking to us about athlete monitoring as well. So, what was really interesting with the XFL is that they were really looking for a comprehensive single solution, so that we could start to push all these data together and allow them to actually have very deep and thoughtful predictive algorithms about what's going to happen with different athletes, what's going to happen with different games, so they could start to make some really smart decisions along the way. So we started with the video analysis, and now we're 3 solutions in with them.
Oh, so is the plan to just have them players currently wear them in practice, or are they actually thinking about using these things in games?
Well, they will use them in both, and so I think will be really interesting to see, because they'll compare what was the the workload in the game, and how do we look, how do we compare in practice, and then also preparing for a game. Here's what it looked like, and then also what was it actually like when we got there and played a real game. So they'll use it in both.
Oh wow, interesting. And then so how is the XFL using this versus the NFL? As far as, I mean, is the NFL using the same suite stuff, or these? It sounds like maybe the XFL is asking a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think with the NFL, we typically work directly with the teams, and so we have teams that are doing video, and we'll have teams that are doing wearables. In some cases, we'll have teams that just are doing video and not wearables yet. I think the difference between the NFL and the XFL, it's a much more comprehensive solution, and so the XFL really wanted to make sure that all the teams had this solution at their fingertips, but also that the league had some access to the data to really understand how to think about fan engagement down the line, how to think about ruling systems down the line, how to think about dealing with the media. So I do think that they're looking to do, utilize the technology in a much more comprehensive manner, with the focus of, how do we improve the game, along the way.
So are they going to use any of this data, you think, for television purposes and be like, how we have the Amazon's got on their Thursday Night Football, the Amazon probabilities and stuff. Are they going to use some of this data like that during
Yeah, look,
games?
I don't anticipate that that's going to happen in the first season, but I think it's definitely, I think, a desire of the XFL of improving, how to bring fans and engage fans a bit more deeper than I think they have in the past. And I always joke, and I know this is going to sound silly, but from a fan engagement, probably the last great innovation on TV was the yellow, first down line, right?
True. Yeah.
There really hasn't been anything that people kind of go, oh, it helps me really understand the data of what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think with our system, both on the wearables and the scouting, and as well as on the video, I think it will help them kind of rethink that and kind of figure out, are there new ways of utilizing it with media that really helps, and a good example, I was trying to explain this to my wife, like, why is, this particular lineman in a team the best player on the team? It's very hard for the casual fans to understand why that lineman is maybe the best player on the team, right? And so how can we use data to really show the impact and the force that maybe one of the linemen could really impact, in a certain game or in a certain play, are things that I think the XFL are thinking about in terms of improving media and fan engagement.
Wow. Well, this is really interesting stuff. So, any other wearables you guys are coming out with other than just like the vest that has I've seen pictures. It's got the vest and then like a thing on the back. Is there any other wearables that you guys are coming up with?
Yeah, we just announced actually at CES, the past couple of weeks, that we've now integrated our wearables that we use for athlete monitoring inside the ball itself.
Okay.
It's been about a year and a half of innovation. The ball is actually, doesn't need to be plugged in to be charged, so it's kind of got, sort of like your iPhone as you put in over, a plate. But what would be really interesting as we start to improve that technology is that it also has inertial sensor position, X, Y, and Z. And it will start to actually be able to compare, an athlete's physical attribute and the impact that it's actually having on the ball. So, spiral control, speed and force of the ball coming out, speed of the ball coming in into a wide receiver's hand. And I think, even a punt or a field kick, like, what is the force being generated and how do you compare different, kickers with it? I think we'll start to create some really interesting metrics around that. And so we're pretty excited by that.
Well, that is very fascinating. So I appreciate your time, Will Lopes, Chief Executive Officer of Catapult, really bringing, I mean, the XFL keeps talking about innovation and they're really doing all this stuff. And this certainly sounds really interesting. And I know the super nerd fans would love to see some of this data, that's for sure. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You got it, Mark. Thank you so much. And have a great day. All right.
You too. All right, my friends, we are back. Want to thank Will Lopes from the CEO of Catapult. Really interesting stuff. He really kind of put over the XFL staff and kind of how they're being very innovative. I was really it kind of made me feel like, okay, cool. There was some worry, with the Vegas stuff and not having a stadium and the schedule being delayed and, all this kind of nonsense. And then to have, just hey, there's a lot of stuff going on. They're doing good stuff. And so that made me feel great. I appreciate him being on the program, trying to give you guys more than just, the fan nerd stuff, but just, we're interested. What's the deal with these partnerships? Why are they important? And, we'll definitely be reaching out to them. Plus, we're lining up a bunch of guests. We have sponsorships things going on. So this amateur podcast, brah, is moving up in places. Because I'll tell you what, when the XFL dropped years ago in 2020, I mean, it was like an intense, like I would say about 2 weeks into the season, like around like when the Super Bowl, like things just went really crazy and nuts. So, hey, thanks. Make sure I remember, if you like football, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to, I think, 6,000 subscribers. We've got 24,000 subscribers on Facebook. Is that right? 22? Maybe it's 22,000. 16,000. We just broke 16,000 on the Twitters. So appreciate all you guys. So you're on the social media stuff. Plus, we're on YouTube. You can download the phone app. The amateurs are kicking butt, right? And you know who else is kicking butt? My friends in the chat room. Philip says, sup, bye, Felicia. I think he's talking about our little reviewer. Stock Speed Tech says, it's homegrown show, and it's fantastic in my opinion. Thank you, dude. David says, dude, forget the haters and forge. I like that. Forget the haters and forge. We need to write that down somewhere. I like that. I like that line. That's a good one. Philip says, you do a great job, Mark. Appreciate that. And David says, dog, you're busy, dude. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate that. McKinley says, can you talk about the Orlando Guardians adding Javonta Patton, a wide receiver from Tennessee? How will that boost their offensive production? Here's the thing. When it comes to some of these guys getting put on the rosters, like we're never sure exactly where these guys fit in yet. And that's a name that I have not seen pop up yet. You know, Mike Mitchell ranked the Orlando Guardians 8th in his power ranking, which I'm sure Guardian Nation is probably going to be a little upset with him. But yeah, I'm not really sure about Javonta Patton. Here's the thing. Like I get a lot of requests. I did get a lot of requests of players like wanting me to interview them. I didn't know if they were even going to be on the team or they were going to get drafted. Now we're at the point where we know who's going to be on the team. We're having an idea. Our writers, our crazy team here at XFL News Hub is getting down. You check out Mike Mitchell's roster depth chart. There's other guys. We're getting a handle on depth chart. So we'll have to see where this guy lands on the depth chart. And, you know, training camp has started, so it's not been around for very long, so we'll see what happens there. But I will definitely keep an eye on Patton as well. Yabba Dabba Doo, any relation to Fred Flintstone? Do you think eventually the XFL and USFL will merge? I will tell you this. So the USFL is having big news. They're going to open another hub in, I need to turn this off, I think. And that? Okay. They're opening another hub, I believe. So they're opening another hub in Michigan, Detroit, playing at Ford Field, but they're practiced somewhere else. Kudos to the USFL for being able, locking that one down. There's rumblings at Canton, Ohio. So, I mean, both leagues are doing things. My biggest fear of the XFL is what's going to happen to the staff during the offseason. And, I mean, because remember, they're not getting NFL ticket revenue, and they're not getting NFL TV money. So I'm a little concerned with that. The nice thing about the USFL is they kind of let everybody go do their own thing within the Fox Sports world and then bring them back for the XFL. So my point is, when you're talking about merge at some point, 5 years, we'd have to see. Really, we're going to see what the XFL is happening this year. Then we're going to see how the USFL does post XFL. And then really it's another year after that. I'm thinking maybe by year 3, we should have a handle if anything is going to happen. 5 years from now, I believe there could be something. Well, let's hope, let's hope and pray, because spring football is definitely going to work in this. It's got to work at this point. There's so much thirst for it. Philip says, you outkicked your coverage, sir. Thank you very much. And he says, the Brahma helmets are fire. Jacob says, maybe I'm an idiot, but I'm trying to register the fantasy football, and I can't find Central Time Zone anywhere. An idea what I just put in Eastern, it's like there's 1,000 of them except for Central. I'll have to check out the time zone thing, but just pick Eastern. Just pick Eastern. And also shoot me an email so I remember this stuff. But I'll check time zone. Time zone and see what's up with that. But yeah, just pick Eastern. Honestly, I don't think it really matters. It did at one point as we were trying to figure out how to get the draft to work better, but now I don't think you need to worry about it too much. But yeah, just pick Eastern for now. Philip says, watch the Guardians win the whole thing. That would be funny. He says, let's see here. Roughnecks at 5 is a scandal. Rookie_X4. So this United Football League is starting in April. I don't know if it's true or not, but the league needs to go up against the USFL in April. Yeah, they're going to go up against the league in April. There's going to be about a 4-week window where they're kind of going back and forth. So to keep an eye on that. UFL is coming back. I think IFL. I'm talking about maybe IFL. Stock Speed Sex says, hit the like button, guys. I appreciate that. Gregory says, excited for the XFL. Me too. X-Fan Schwartzden says, Mark, what's up with Curtis Schwager? Not really sure about that one. What are you talking about? Don, checking in. Could call, my friend. Could call to you as well. 2 great interviews this week. And last, keep the type of stuff up. I'd love to see more. You're working on a new, working on some really great interviews you guys are going to love. So stay tuned for that. Samuel says, go Battlehawks. Don says it's buffering. I don't know about that. Big Sam the Evangelist says, your website has way more up-to-date roster stuff than the actual XFL site. Best updates, gets me hyped. Thank you very much, my friend there. All right, let's take a look at the social media stuff before we wrap up. And by the way, this is why that's going. Let's see here. Like, what is beeping in the background? Speaking of fantasy football, so you can check out News Hub Fantasy. Leagues forming now. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's around 500 leagues, private, all different kinds of leagues. There's probably we're close to 2,000 people have signed up to play leagues. Drafts have kicked off. We've had drafts, so News Hub Fantasy to play your XFL Fantasy. Not only that, not only can you play XFL Fantasy, but we have play Pick'em as well. So you can play Pick'em. So you pick who's going to win make your pick. So you pick the Sea Dragons versus Defenders. Of course, you're going to pick the Defenders, and then you put in the score. Attendance is questionable. I'm not sure if we're going to use that or not, but you can do that right now. So we got Pick'em. We've got fantasy football. Always let me know what you want, and I'll put it into the app. Yes, I wrote this app all by myself in my spare time over the last year. We played USFL. It was, that was the kink. We called that the alpha test. Now we're in the beta test stage of the XFL, and then we should be able to go right into the USFL season. I'm already pulling USFL roster data and CFL roster data. So we'll be able to do that and just go seasons after season, and just the site will just get stronger and stronger as we keep going. But we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We're just trying to figure it out, my friends. That's it. Settle down. We're just trying to figure out. All right, let's get into some, what the heck is going on here? There we go. I don't know what's going on with some of this stuff today. Let's go into some of your social media stuff about the DC Defenders projected depth chart by Mike Mitchell. James says, Eric Dungy, 3rd string? No way. He'll be started by week 2. I was surprised to see that too, but that seems to be where we're headed right now. Remember, we've seen this in the NFL. Injuries happen. Who knows how things will turn out. Remember, Cardell Jones was supposed to be the guy and wasn't. So stay tuned for that. Special guest at the DC Defenders thing. You saw that in our video. My wife and I got to meet Doug Williams. He wasn't even supposed to be there. It wasn't like he was playing. He just kind of showed up. He knew somebody, decided to get a little free lunch, hang out with some DC Defenders fans. It was awesome to see him. T. Fred Lang says, lug Doug Williams. He led Tampa Bay Bucks to their first playoff berth in the USFL for the Outlaws, and then for his success back in the NFL with Washington. Was he? He was a great guy. Totally great guy. Joshua says, also the founder of the HBCU Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Love me some Canton, Ohio, next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Love me some. I didn't know there was that. It's in Canton, Ohio, but it's next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I didn't know about the HBCU Football Hall of Fame. That's not part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's interesting. By the way, Sparta Restaurant, Canton, Ohio. Check it out. That's our crew. That's our crew. We always love Sparta. Always get anytime Canton, Ohio gets talked about, we always give them a plug. All right, on to the YouTubes, which we've got to fix here for some reason. All right. Because this amateur hour, the Brahma Bulletin. I'm super excited about the XFL season. In fact, I'm so pumped. I created a YouTube channel dedicated to San Antonio Brahma. Thank you for all the content and made this channel grow and prosper. Very cool. That sounds cool. Good for you. It says half the crew have women. I don't know what you're talking about there. And Film Shaker Chris says major TV network AMC, Hallmark Channel, Sling TV, Pluto TV, same planet they were playing on. I was talking about last week. I think he's talking about Major League Football and their supposed channels. Bill Yank 1 says, as a resident of Los Angeles County, I'm bummed that the Wildcats are not part of the XFL. On the other hand, I have adopted the Vegas Vipers as my new team, XFL team, and look forward to going out to Vegas for a weekend to catch a game. Awesome. That's the way you got to handle it. Growth mindset. We love the growth mindset. That's the way you should handle it. You know, you're just going to have to wait and see what, you know, is the door completely closed for Los Angeles and New York? No, we heard DJ, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, talk about that there's a possibility that, you know, these teams will return. So but Los Angeles and New York is expensive. Let's just get through the first week. But that's the problem with the Guardians. If there's a new team in New York, they're going to call them the McMahons. That's Connecticut. On to our question of the week. I want to know, and let us know in the chat right now, in the chat or in the comments, who is winning the XFL North from the North, like Guardians of the Galaxies, Game of Thrones, the North, DC, America's team, St. Louis. Oh, I did St. Louis twice, you dingy. Seattle, St. Louis, and actually it was Vegas. Totally screwed that up. I just noticed it now. Oops. Podcast. All right, so those are 4 teams. The North, DC Defenders, Seattle Sea Dragons, St. Louis Battlehawks, and Vipers. I bet you, did anybody even notice that I spelled them wrong? Michael, clearly he has a Battlehawks thing. Kakaw, he's got Battlehawks. Paul says, interesting. I thought they would go east-west since the USFL went north-south, plus XFL 2020 was east-west. Yeah, I was surprised by that too. David, at Lumpy68, DC Defenders, you are smart. You're a smart guy. Diego Mendoza says, keep sleeping on Vegas. Okay. Let's give these likes here. RCR, how did you do that with your name, by the way? He's got Battlehawks by far. Van Hurst, friend of the show. Using your choices, it's obviously this is the vegans. I didn't know what else to put when I put Vegas. I was like, is it some other way? LV? But then they call it Vegas Vipers. They don't call it Las Vegas Vipers. They're in a class of 1. I guess maybe Van is a vegan. Otherwise, he's got Seattle number 1, Las Vegas 2, DC, and St. Louis 4. QB1 is halfway to full retirement. Rumblings is that A.J. McLaren is not going to be the starter. Ryan Willis is going to be the guy, is what we're kind of hearing there. Are there any other ones? Let's see. Ephron says DC is winning theirs and San Antonio is winning theirs. Sadly, I think St. Louis and Orlando will both be bad. It's something that Mike Mitchell had kind of talked about. St. Louis needs to be good. Needs to be good. Christopher says, don't know about the North, but if I was betting man, say a team Texas will win it in the South, LOL. Oh, well. That is true, Christopher. That is true. You would win a lot of money if you said that somebody in Texas will win the South. That's true there. Appreciate that. Let us know in the chat real quick before we wrap it up who's winning, North or South. Who you got your? We're talking about North winners. On to the Instagram. Jordan Stephen Campbell 3 says the Vipers. Demaria Shelton talking about the St. Louis Battlehawks. Okay. Oh, yeah, he's got it there. He says, I personally predict that my team, the team of my city, the Gateway City, St. Louis, with the XFL and our beloved pro football team in the St. Louis Battlehawks, will ultimately win the XFL North Division title and go on to the XFL championship game and defeat the Houston Roughnecks or Dallas Renegades to win the 2023 XFL whatever world title and triumphantly bring the gold back home here in St. Louis where it rightfully belongs as well, in my view. That would be huge. That would be huge. And I think the league would need that, at least St. Louis, to be in the playoffs. I mean, you just have to, there's 4 teams. You could, but Seattle Dragons has got I'm not sure about the Vipers. I think it's going to be DC and Seattle in that division. That's my thing. Alex says DC Defenders, baby. Nick says DC and then South is the Brahmas. Fred says North will be the Battlehawks, South Brahmas, and Kyle says St. Louis. There you have it there. On to the emails. My friends, the social media stuff, emails. James checking in said, Mark, hundreds showed up to the party with Battlehawks players. There is no doubt St. Louis will contend for attendance title this year. I think San Antonio and Seattle will also be a factor. All the best. God bless. Jim checking in. Appreciate the email, Jim. I agree. I heard 1,100 was the number that I heard. You saw in the videos earlier on the show, there was a ton of people there. Super excited. I think Battlehawks will probably lead. I've been hearing that first game, especially if they win, but I'm hearing that first game they could fill the dome. That's what I've heard. That is a strong possibility at this point because the interest is growing. That team plays once the league hits the ground. The team plays, have some kind of fun events, but the team needs to win. That's critical. I think Anthony Beck is great as an ambassador to the city. He is the guy. They have a veteran staff. I mean, they have a rookie staff is the problem in St. Louis. But the XFL needs the Battlehawks to be in it. Just be in it. They can't go 0-5 or something like that. The Battlehawks need to kind of be in the game there. They can't be a Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL. I think it's critical that Battlehawks, and San Antonio really have strong teams. The other ones, we could flounder like the 500. DC will always sell out. The fans here, if the DC Defenders were 0 and whatever, but you got to think Reggie Barlow, a guy that has, had success in the college ranks. Greg Williams is your defensive coordinator. Heard nothing but praise from the players there about working with Greg Williams. So that's a guy. That is a guy. So I think DC is going to have a good team there. All right, my friends. Finally, we got lots of things on the, let's see, XFL fans. Schwager's Den says, go Vegas Vipers. Phillips says, go Roughnecks. Your repetitors always have more. Oh, yeah, we got that. Get me hyped. Remember, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., February games, not good. From Samuel, yes, I agree. Hopefully I'll be in the press box. But my wife and friends will be in the seats. I've heard, now it was freaking cold in February where we went to DC Defenders games. It was cold in February. But then you get to March, starts to chill, and then April, we're good. We just have to get through February. I've heard I watch Ryan Yahl. Do you ever watch Ryan Yahl, the weather guy? He does a great podcast. I mean, I would love to be at that level one day. But I'm an amateur right now. But we'll get there one day, okay? We'll get there one day. But he has some stuff, and he was saying based on the data, it's seeming like it's going to be a warmer than usual February, which would be great for the DC Defenders. So I'm with you there. Because we are basically the coldest one. Orlando is warm. Texas is warm. Seattle, basically us in Seattle. St. Louis is in a dome. So we are the ones that have to deal with it. But if we get it, and plus it's right on the water there, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Don says his Facebook is doing good now. He's got St. Louis. Of course you do, Don. Of course you pick St. Louis. Samuel says Vegas. Okay. Philip says Sea Dragons. Big Sam, the evangelist. Do you know if Vegas came out with their tickets? No. But I do believe that I think it's their single game tickets might be coming out next week. I think that's what I heard. Now, remember, also, I forgot to point this out. Did you see that there is going to be a press conference this Wednesday in Orlando with Danny Garcia, the mayor of Orlando, and Terrell Buckley, the head coach? So, of course, us people, make sure you smash the like button. Let's get to 30 likes before the show is over, please. Really? Put all this work in. You can't even get me 30 likes? Jeez. I see you all on there. Just give me a like, will you? Anyways, Danny, so those three, this Wednesday, there's a press conference in Orlando, and the rumbling is that, and Philip says football is a dish best served cold. I hate being cold. Just want to point that out. But I'll be cold. That they're having a press conference in Orlando. The vibe is that they are going to have, and I was working this angle, trying to get an idea, but people don't really know. And I've heard people tell us that they actually learn more about what's going on in the XFL through XFL News Hub than working there. And it makes sense. I mean, you're a big company, there's a lot of moving parts going on. And so we're definitely an asset for the league. And we don't mind that. We're great, good partnership with us and them. Championship game in Orlando, which I think is awesome because Orlando is Disney. I love Disney. I don't have any Disney stuff around. Oh, no, I've got the little Groot thing. You put the Groot thing on your shoulder deal. I've got Groot. Do I have any other Disney stuff? I got another Groot. Star Wars. I got my lightsaber I got from Star Wars. So anyway, okay, I'll take him down. So the rumbling is that they will have the championship game in there. And potentially, what do you think about this, chat room? Leave us a comment. Here's what I'm going to leave you with. What about having the playoffs in Orlando as well? So you play the playoffs in Orlando. That's why you have the 2-week separation. Remember, there's a week between the end of the playoffs and then the XFL championship game. You got ESPN zone in the area. What about having the championship game in the playoffs and championship in one location? I thought for sure it was going to be in Texas, but that's the rumble. Why else would Danny Garcia be there with the mayor of Orlando? Just putting it out there. Philip says, get your saber. I didn't put it together. It's still in the box. I haven't taken it out. But I have the, this is still in the box. I got this deal over the summer. And then I got the box with the saber in it. All right, my friends. That's enough about me. Go on. Have a good night, my friends. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, we'll look for some great guests coming up this next week as well as we get closer to kickoff. Leave us a voice. Want to be part of the show? Email podcast@XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video. Play it on next week's show, 888-430-7692, extension 3. The question of the week next week, who's going to win the XFL South? Also, I want your reaction if the playoffs take place in Orlando. If it's announced, we'll find out. What do you think about if the playoffs and championship game are all played in Orlando? It's a great, easy town to get to. And combat our friend by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I appreciate that. And remember, we are live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch as well, my friends. All right, exciting stuff this week. So there's definitely going to be something announced on Wednesday. Usually the cadence is Tuesday and Wednesday. USFL will have a big announcement on Thursday, so I think the XFL will stay out of that. So I think you'll get something big on Wednesday. I'm thinking it's championship game. We're really just waiting for data analysis, and I need the data stuff. I need to know about if they're doing anything about fantasy football, and I need an API to pull in the data from. And then, where they play in the championship game. And if it's Orlando, I'm liking that. I am liking that. Philip says playoffs in San Antonio, then championship game in Orlando. They could do something like that too. All right, my friends. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Smash that like button. That's it for me, folks. As always, again, thanks to Will Lopes, the Chief Executive Officer of Catapult Sports. I really appreciate him coming on. Smash that like button. Let's see here. So thanks for listening. Mahalo as always. God bless always. And I will see you all later.